Would you consider a bank robber to be courageous, or perhaps a climber attempting to summit Mount Everest? How about hurling yourself out of an airplane on a skydiving adventure? All of these acts could be considered courageous, or perhaps not. Courage can be defined differently depending on the view of the observer. Courage can and does mean different things to different people. In the dictionary, courage is defined as the ability to do something that frightens one, or strength in the face of pain or grief. Courage can in fact encompass these elements, but it also can mean so much more. Come with me on my own journey to explore what courage looks like to me. For an act to be considered courageous, it must meet several criteria. It must be a voluntary or informed decision. It must involve some sort of risk. It must be something done at some sort of sacrifice to yourself. A courageous act must be something done for a good and worthy cause, and never for a personal gain. It must be something you are compelled to do out of your own free will or choice. And finally, it must be something that has a possible positive or favorable outcome. While each of these criteria are an element of courage, for an act to truly be considered courageous, it should consider all the criteria discussed here. In the wisdom of Maya Angelou, we are reminded that courage is the most important of all the virtues, because without courage, you can't practice any other virtue consistently. There are everyday, ordinary people all around us who exhibit great acts of courage in their lives. One such character that we studied this year is Mama in the play, A Raisin in the Sun. Mama's character exemplifies courage in everything she does. Mama's actions are all voluntary and of her own accord. She is not compelled to do anything in the play. She observes, she thinks, she studies, and she makes her own decisions, regardless of what others say. When her children are all trying to tell her how to spend the insurance money, she shows courage by making her own choice all on her own. Mama's actions also involve risk. She puts money down on a small house in a white neighborhood, not knowing how they will be accepted or treated. She knows this might be risking their safety by moving into a neighborhood they aren't wanted in, but she is willing to take that risk. Mama shows courage because her actions are always have the greater good in mind for others. She doesn't want to squander the insurance money. She doesn't want to travel to Europe or spend it on herself. She wants to do good with it. She wants to create a better life for her family and for the possibility of education for her daughter. She wants her grandchildren to grow up better than she ever did. All of Mama's actions are at a great personal sacrifice, which is also a sign of courage. She has worked hard and sacrificed her whole life. She has now lost her husband, and instead of keeping the money to do with what she wants, she is willing to sacrifice to make sure that the needs of her children and grandchildren are met. Mama does not feel guilt or pressure to change her mind about the insurance money, which is a sign of courage. As much as Walter begs and pleads to have the money to invest in the liquor store, Mama knows that it isn't the right thing to do. She entrusts Walter with the money that is left over, hoping he will make a wise decision. Nobody forces her to make that choice. She acts out of courage, trusting that her son will use the money to make all of his dreams come true. Finally, Mama shows courage because there is a possibility of a favorable outcome from the choices she makes. She is trying to set her and her family up for a better life by moving into another neighborhood, despite the risk and objections from moving in. Mama is willing to take the gamble in the hopes that a better life will be provided for them. She also takes the risk in convincing Walter not to take the money to Mr. Linder has offered them. They are proud, hardworking, and courageous family, and will not be told what to do. Mama is the epitome of courage in all of her words, actions, and deeds throughout the play. We should all strive to be courageous, just as Mama in the play. True courage is one of the greatest human attributes of any of us can obtain in life.